Good morning and welcome to the Propeller Club of Northern California. I'm Stas Margaronis, and I want to welcome you to our December 7th meeting, which will feature Oakland Port Director Danny Juan and Maritime Director Bryan Brandes. And Bryan's presentation is on the screen at the moment. Todd or Bryan, could we take that off for a second so we can do our introductions and then bring it back up?
Sure. You're afraid of doing it, right?
I am afraid to do it because we just had a lot of problems with it, but okay.
All right. Let's see if we'll something. We're in good hands. The Lord has preserved us in the past, so let's hope it will continue.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us. We have a very loaded, crowded agenda today, but the first order of business is that we have an election of one officer, which is myself, and I have to relinquish the chair to my good friend and colleague, Nicholas Marone, Vice President, Seafarers International. And Nick, you are there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, Stas, but I thought this was happening after the presentation from the port.
No, we're going to do it. We're going to do it right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Well, I need a
Yes.
list of who's here. I need a list to write down for the minutes on who are our board members in attendance.
Okay, Nick, why don't we do this? Let's hold this off till after the presentation and then we'll take it from there.
I think so, Stas.
Okay. So I am going to start. I see Ron Brown waving there. Okay, let me go and start to make introductions. Bryan Brandes, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Bryan Brandes, Director of Maritime for the Port of Oakland.
Danny Juan, good morning, Port Director.
Thank you, Stas. Danny Juan, the Executive Director of the Port of Oakland.
Nicholas Marone, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend, and good morning to everybody and happy holidays.
Thank you very much. I have Daniel Serrato. Do you want to show yourself? Good morning.
I was muted. Sorry. Good morning, everybody.
Okay. Andrew Wong. Good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Andy Wong, Manager of Business Development, International Marketing at the Port of Oakland.
Thank you, Andrew. John Carlier, good morning.
Good morning, John Carlier, Port Agent, San Francisco Bar Pilots.
Thank you. Kim Arrive, good to see you, Kim, and happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to everyone.
Peter Dreyfus, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stas. Watermaster North America, co-founder and chief operating officer. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown, I see we have another hat on. You are a man of many hats.
Well, I fear that the bald spot may blind people, so I try to keep the hats to protect my friends. So good morning and happy holidays, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you, Ron.
He had 40 bundles on 172 West.
Susan, let me mute.
And
Susan.
then
There. Okay. Jay Taylor, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Jordan Taylor, California Maritime Academy.
Jordan, thank you very much. Jordan, you have a couple of guests from the California Maritime Academy. Would you like to introduce them?
You know, I don't know who's shown up here. I don't know who's on. Sorry.
Okay, well, I can see Maura. Maura, good morning. You want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Maura Faramuth. I am a sophomore global studies and maritime affairs major at the California Maritime Academy.
Welcome. Jeremy, good morning, Mr. Jeremy.
Good morning, Jeremy Osborne from Boundary Layer Technologies, founder and CTO.
Very good. Welcome, Jeremy. Kevin Policarpo. Kevin, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Suss. Morning, everyone.
Hope you're all having a good day.
Okay. Gabriela Jimenez. Good morning, Gabriela. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning. Gabriela Jimenez with Berg Davis Public Affairs. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. And Mr. Wallenberg, I see you managed to make it here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stas. This is Ellis Wallenberg. I'm Director of Environmental Services for Weiss Associates, and we're doing a lot of work at the ports and for the tenants at the ports for environmental engineering.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you, Ellis.
Good to see you.
And Mike Henneman, I haven't seen you in a long time. Where you been hiding, man?
Good to see you again. Mike Henneman, Port of Oakland's Maritime Marketing Department.
Thank you, Mike. And my good friend and colleague, Evie Wong. Good morning, Ms. Wong.
Good morning, Stas. Good morning, everyone. And I'm sending the Zoom details to Susan Ransom.
Oh, okay.
Evie Huang with Alba Wheels Up. And I am also president of the Customs Brokers Forwarders Association in Northern California.
Thank you, Evie. Good to see you. Mr. Derek Chow from Honolulu. Good morning, sir.
Aloha and mele kalikimaka to everyone across the nation. I'm Derek Chow. I am former Deputy Director to the Hawaii Department of Transportation and now on my own as a consultant. Over.
And we just saw your presentation at the Storms, Flooding, and Sea Level Defense Conference, in which you were telling us about the challenges facing Honolulu Harbor.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. Matthew, good morning, Matthew. You're just down the street from me, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Although today I'm actually in New York.
Oh.
Yep, Matt LaFiandra, CEO of Ocean Solutions. We are a shipping and FFA broker, serving primarily the liquid bulk markets and the tanker fleet.
Very good. Welcome, Matthew. Good to see you. We need to catch up at Christmas time when you're home. You should let me know when you get back.
Yes, indeed. Next week, I'll shoot you a note.
Okay, thank you. I have somebody on the phone, 510-686-68714. Do they want to unmute themselves? I don't know who that is. Hello? Okay, next person. Hello? Gone. Randy Straight, good morning, sir. Mr. Straight, would you like to introduce yourself?
Morning, team, or good afternoon, where I'm at in Dakota Dune, South Dakota. Senior Director, Global Logistics for Tyson Foods. Excuse the mask, it's required in our office, so I'll have to leave it on.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Straight.
Thank you.
Susan Sullivan, good morning, Ms. Sullivan.
Good morning, Stas. How are you doing?
I'm good. And are you
good?
Are you in your office?
I am in my office. We're all back. So
very good.
Everything is good here. And I'm Susan Sullivan. I am with Pasha Hawaii, Pasha manager of the Over High and Wide Cargo, and am a member of the board of directors for the Propeller Club. Thank you.
Yes, you are. And how's business in Hawaii?
Oh, it's rainy there right now. They're having a hard time. Catastrophic rain.
Really?
There's no electricity in downtown Honolulu. So things are moving slowly. Our ships are coming in and out, but everything on the islands is pretty wet. They're having some flash flooding, and pretty soon the floodplains are going to overflow. So hopefully it'll slow down in this next week.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Thank you very much for the update.
Yeah.
Captain Ann McIntyre. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Happy holidays. Ann McIntyre. I'm the business director for the San Francisco Bar Pilots.
Thank you very much, Captain. And I see my good friend, Mr. Bill Nixon. Good morning, Mr. Nixon.
Good morning, Stas and everybody. Representing bulk tramp ship agents of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Very good. Thank you. Let me see, who am I missing? I see, oh, Susan Ransom has arrived. Good morning, Ms. Ransom.
Good morning, Susan Ransom, Client Relations Manager over at SSA Terminal.
Very good. Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Mr. Todd Crawshaw.
Good morning, everyone. With Crawshaw Design, integrated brand marketing for print and the web, and premier website hosting and IT support.
Great, great. Good to see you, friend. Greg Feeney. Good morning, Mr. Feeney. Greg? Greg, calling Greg.
There we go. Sorry about that. Are you okay?
Yeah, well, I can hear you. Introduce yourself, Greg.
Hi, good morning. Greg Feeney from Port Transfer. We're down here in the overweight quarter and been extremely busy lately with a lot of cargo that was supposed to be up in Tacoma and Seattle or Long Beach has been routed to Oakland. Yay. So it's been, I've been really kind of crazy. And I felt sorry for Susan the other day. She bailed me out with a lot of stuff. So thank you very much. And also I'm a member of the club here, Propeller Club. So
and you're on the board of directors.
Yep. Yeah. Having fun.
Well, we want more cargo, so that's a good story. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Daniel Serrato. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm a sales account executive for Pcnc Logistics.
Thank you, Daniel. Mr. Mike Chapman. Good morning.
Morning, Mike Chapman, Women's Appellate Club, Port of the Golden Gate.
And you have a luncheon very soon?
We had this past Sunday a breakfast at Pier 29.
And when's your next one?
Next year.
Okay. Well, I hope to see you then. Thank you very much for all of your good work, Mike.
Thanks, Stas.
Marilyn Sandifer. Good morning, Marilyn.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. Just want to say I'm acting media and public relations manager at the Port of Oakland and wishing you all well this holiday season.
Thank you very much, Marilyn. Cindy Thiessen. Cindy, good morning.
Good morning, Sydney Tyson with Avalon Risk Management. I'm joining on behalf of Deidre Hudson, who is my manager, and she is a member of ECA.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Tyson. I see somebody whose initials are HEFR2.
Yes. This is Frank Hewitt, OOCO.
Oh, good morning. How are you, sir?
Hey, wonderful. Thank you.
And how's the shipping business?
Well, as you know, it's up and down, and now it's a different story, right?
Absolutely. Well, welcome very much. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for hosting the meeting.
Thank you. I believe I have come to the end of, Todd, have I missed anybody?
Can't say, actually. I haven't keeping track.
Okay. Well, I think we will start it from there. We have our port director, Danny Wan, here with us, and Bryan Brandes, the Maritime director. We have some obvious concerns amongst all of us about where the cargo is going to be coming from and going to. We have more ships, as you know, coming back up to Oakland, but we also have chassis shortages, which has been slowing the process down. Our port staff has been working really hard to try and get the services that left to come back. And I understand from what Danny told me before we got on that there have been some conversations with John Porcari, the Biden administration port envoy. So we are hopeful that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And with that, Danny, good morning again, and welcome to the Propeller Club, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Stas, for providing this forum, and thank you everybody here for continuing to be concerned and wanting to communicate and be updated Of course, Bryan Brandes is going to give you all the, he's the expert in knowing, trying to help everybody, making sure the port operates smoothly and coordinate with you to make sure that the best we can, that the cargo matches the available space on our ships that's visiting in Oakland to the degree that we can have some influence over that. But I'm just gonna give you an update overall in terms of sort of our efforts to look for solutions in the long term. So as we know, the pandemic has revealed how vulnerable our supply chains to demand surges and disruption. It's pretty clear that there needs to be some changes in terms of coordination between the segments of a supply chain, and especially Oakland, as you've now experienced. Even though we have surges of cargo, we had an experience in October, which is very counterintuitive, that in October we had 20% drop in volume over the year before because of the sort of price distortions that's happening, that some of the shippers have decided to skip Oakland after they waited for 20 or a week or so and longer at the port of Long Beach on LA. They want to get their ships back quickly to Asia and therefore skip the Oakland, causing the folks who call Oakland their home port to have to go down to LA to get their cargo. And even more worryingly, well, equally worryingly, I'd say, is our exporters, who is an important part of our California U.S. economy, having to now stuck with the problem of having to export their stuff that's sometimes perishable down through the South. So this is an issue that is at the beginning of this surge was not paid too much attention to. In fact, all the attention was sort of focused on LA and Long Beach, which is good because we need to solve that problem. But the kind of issues that's arising in Oakland seems to demand a different types of solution and different types of thinking. And we've been very, very successful lately in getting John Porcari, the port envoy to the Biden administration, as well as our state, importantly, the Department of Transportation Secretary Kim, as well as GoBiz, Didi Myers, have all now understand the sort of peculiar situation that Oakland faces, in that we have additional capacity, or at least we had, and yet the congestion seems to all pile up in LA and Long Beach. So they have now caught on to this issue, and very much in sort of weekly, bi-weekly communication with us to understand that problem. And I think I'm happy to report they're also very focused on this, which is that they have now realized that the export market is so important to both the U.S. economy and to the California economy, that they have now focused on this issue about how do we help our exporters make sure there's reliable service that's transparent, and both in the medium term and also in the long term. So those efforts are ongoing. We're having regular discussions. In fact, we're going to have a little confab here again with our state partners. And this is a good news, because when it comes to, as you heard, there's lots and lots, supposedly, we haven't quite seen the flow yet, but it's coming, the infrastructure dollars, both from the state and the Fed. We need their attention to make sure that the investments made in places where it does help our export market, and as well as to make sure there's an efficient use of all the capacity on the West Coast, so that not all the congestion goes piling up in one port, and when there's extra capacity here that a lot of customers demand and depend on. So that is certainly a good focus that now the state and the federal government are focused on. We're certainly advocating with the state government, our governor's office, to make sure that we start developing a statewide freight policy, so that there's a rational allocation of resources, as well as making sure that the service is reliable all throughout the California ports, and also to together lobby the federal government for more investment resources. You've probably heard this figure by now, that in terms of certain funds in federal investment in ports, California is about 4-to-1 behind in terms of ratio of investment to the South and West Coast, the South and East Coast ports versus California. That's because I think the state of California has not traditionally paid too much attention to us, and but now we have their attention. Now's the time. We're going to ask you, staff, your members, and everybody here, when it comes time to help us lobby both the state government and the federal government to pay attention to both investment in California, but more particularly the customers that call Oakland their home port. So Bryan, I know you know him well. He's going to tell you, he's the expert. He'll tell you all you need to know about what's going on today. And but certainly our collective message is that we need your help together to lobby. And Bryan, Flash has already been here in a year and a half. Can't believe it. And yet he's been through quite an adventure. It seems like years, I think, to Bryan to be here at Port of Oakland. But if you don't know him, he's certainly an industry veteran, and he's been doing so well with us. And I hope that he is being in contact with you, and then sure that he'll have lots of answers for you today. So thank you, Stas.
Thank you very much, Danny. And we are absolutely able and willing to support whatever initiatives they're developed to get the lobbying done to support the Port of Oakland. So you let us know what you need to do, and we will be there.
So Bryan
Brandes, Maritime Director, Port of Oakland, who's been here for not even 2 years, and all of a sudden he's got a beard and glasses and good grief.
Aging.
Good morning, Bryan, and thank you very much for joining us. And Danny, thank you very much for the introduction.
Yep, thank you, Danny, and thank you, Stas, for having me here today. Happy holidays to everybody. As you can see from Danny's opening, it's every year we say in the industry, all right, it's going to be a busy year next year, and every year is a busier year and creates more challenges. But with with everything Danny stated, and potentially all the infrastructure opportunities, I think it's going to be a very busy year for a very next few years will be very busy for the port. And just one correction to Danny is that I definitely don't view myself as the expert. I really view my role is to try to help everyone. I'm not the one actually physically moving the freight. Everyone on the call is, and I'm here to try to make that easier and smoother. So speaking of easier and smoother, I did have quite a little technical difficulty, so hopefully this works right now. And
looks good.
Yeah, but are you seeing two screens or one screen?
One screen.
Still
there
good?
You go. You're good.
All right. So the first challenge of the day. So okay, so yeah, it's as everyone's clearly aware. It's been a good year for some, very difficult for others. But I view it every time, and certainly think every time we have a challenge, it creates an opportunity. So I would like to throw this slide up. Everyone's fairly familiar, of the Seaport, but as we have questions, we can always come back and reference this. But we are going to, have a significant amount of opportunity for development and improvement to try to really improve not only the current, flow through the port, but have additional opportunity for increasing volume and potentially diversifying through the Port of Oakland, which I'll get into in a minute. So in recapping so far year to date, so these numbers are from January to October, and it's it's a significantly different picture than quite a few ports around the country. And so our full imports are up 8%, our exports are down. Total TEUs are up 1.5 or a little over 1.5%. The vessel calls, this is a really it needs to be shown together, is that our vessel calls are down 30%. So 327 fewer calls this year compared to last year. But what you have to put in and bring this in together, really it clarifies the picture, is that each vessel call is up 46%. So the moves on each vessel is increasing. So it's, even though our vessel calls are down, as you can see, the total vessel, volume throughput through the port is essentially flat or just slightly up. This creates, having fewer vessel calls is good for some, good, and bad for others. Really, what it helps, having fewer vessel calls is better for the terminals, but it does create, fewer opportunities, primarily for the exporters to have more destinations to send their product. We saw earlier congestion earlier this year, and we've talked about that multiple times. And it was really, we had vessel bunching up to 30 vessels outside the bridge, and really that was due to just simply not having enough longshore labor. The PMA and the ILWU reached an agreement. Not only did they hire additional labor force, which they're still, hiring additional casuals, but they trained the labor force to increase the skill level on skilled equipment, which is top handlers, the rubber tired gantry cranes in the yard, and the gantry cranes that work the vessels. So that was the reason, the primary reason for the vessel congestion earlier in the year. Then lines from that earlier congestion made a conscious decision to bypass Oakland and continue to call LA Long Beach and immediately turn back to Asia. So we saw a number of services pull out of Oakland and just do what I just said, complete, their full rotation in LA Long Beach and head right back to Asia. That really impacted Oakland, and we saw those numbers drop significantly, 20% in September and October. We do anticipate, we have seen, the preliminary numbers from November. Services have started to return, and we expect the numbers in December to be close to that of last year, if not just slightly below. But the volume has definitely is definitely rebounding. As Stas had opened up, that does create additional challenges. Be careful what you ask for, right? We've been asking for additional services to come back up. Labor, advising labor's prepared, terminals have capacity, and now we are seeing a shortage of chassis. And that shortage of chassis is, yes, direct correlation to increased volume, but it also has to do with increased dwell time on the street. So if the dwell time on the street was it was decreased to its standard standard level, then my opinion is we would have higher level of chassis. So it's a it's a coordinated effort that we help to do what we can, bring volume back up, work with the terminals to work the additional capacity, and then work with the chassis providers to right size the fleet, and then do what we can to work with the importers and exporters to ensure that and the trucking companies to ensure that the dwell time on the street is reduced. So with all that, there is there's always some good news. So let me get to some good news. So just recapping the year, OICT received 3 brand new cranes, some of the largest cranes in the U.S. So we thank you, we thank you SSA for that. So there was a significant financial commitment to the Port of Oakland for its long-term growth. We also thank ETS over at the Ben Nutter facility. They received 1 new crane, and they also have plans to raise 2 additional cranes in 2022. On previous calls throughout the year, we've definitely pushed and expressed an interest and showed an importance, a reason why we believe first port of call services really add value into the Port of Oakland. And we've had luck, and it's not just the port; it's everyone on this call. That they're really their effort and their voice that's contributed to the port's success of receiving the first port of call services. So to date, we have 4, and we've got a 5th with CU lines arriving this month. So that's exciting news. We also have a number of major importers establishing or increasing their presence in Northern California, which is really what what we need. We're looking and continuing to talk to importers to increase their footprint, via their warehouse space, their distribution centers, to really create the demand for the Oakland area, as well as creating jobs. I mean, that's really what adds the biggest value to the area. As Danny had mentioned, exports are critical to Oakland and to the Bay Area. That's really due to their proximity. So we want to create the same with all the importers. So what are we looking at for what are some of the initiatives that we started this year and really continuing to look at for next year? And that's this express service. That's the next variation of the first port of call. All the first port of call services right now call Oakland first, and then majority of them go back to LA, Long Beach. Now we're really looking for a express service to come in and out of Oakland, not calling any other West Coast port. And that's really to take advantage of, not only, bringing in the imports without experiencing any delays at any other facilities, but then being able to take advantage of the exports and go right back to Asia to really provide, a good product both on the import side and the export side. We're looking at short haul rail services, and these would be services that have been looked at years over many, the past years, and they've typically not penciled out just due to the, the cost of having to lift on and lift off at, at both ends, and then pay the short haul rail provider for the distance. But now, as congestion is increasing, as trucking costs are going up, and then also in environmental reasons, some of the short haul options are starting to become more appealing. So we're looking at a few different options there, and hopefully have some more progress in 22. Diversity of services. Danny mentioned we're still looking, and I had mentioned on previous calls that we have a land study underway, and we are looking at diversity of services. Right now we're 100% container port. We're looking at and talking to bulk carriers, aggregate carriers. We're very far along with an aggregate carrier, and we'll have that as an agenda item at the next board meeting to bring on a aggregate plant in the Outer Harbor. We're also talking to break bulk importers and exporters. It has been a topic of discussion about windmills to see if that's an opportunity for the port. Ro-ro periodically comes up, and it's potentially an opportunity, but needs further vetting. And then back to rail, the strategic rail component, and this is not what you're envisioning rail of container on and container off, but this is bringing in product via rail and then transloading it into containers for export. We do have one facility that's, or we have two facilities that's doing that now. One is a bulk facility, and then also a reefer transloading facility. And we're looking at other products that would benefit from this opportunity, and to see where we can increase the opportunities for the port. And then, of course, ongoing, this will be a constant effort until we're able to reach zero emissions. And that's, anytime we can, we're looking to, take an opportunity of, the technology that's out there today with, maximizing or continuing the current operations and not, impacting the operations. So we're working with companies to bring on electric trucks, and we really see what the port is. We would, provide support with that, but I really see the port providing, most of its support with the infrastructure and providing electric chargers. We've been working with our terminal operators to move forward with hybrid RTGs. SSA has already done this. ETS and Trey Packer are looking at it, and then the next step would eventually be is to go to full electric RTGs or RMGs, rail mounted gantry cranes. We've had the 2020 and beyond plan in place now for a number of years, and this is our playbook that we continue to reference, and we continue to progress with this. And then also, the truck management plan. This is progressing nicely, and will lead to improving our operational efficiency at the port. And then the Seaport Logistics Complex. This is really what we call the ancillary services at the port, the non-waterfront services. So we have a number of cross-dock and distribution centers. We're looking at modernizing these facilities, and increasing the capacity that goes through these near dock facilities. This is a significant advantage that the Port of Oakland has, to have these facilities so close to the waterfront. It's a very short dray, and they're also within the overweight within the overweight corridor, which is a benefit. As I mentioned, the grain and aggregate transloads, we're looking into increased opportunities and increased products. Also looking into adding additional reefer capacity. And Oakland is a preferred export or preferred port, for the exporters, primarily, protein and, well, not primarily, but protein and all of the fruits and vegetables that are from the Central Valley. It's so we're looking at adding additional reefer capacity to be able to handle that. I timed the trains perfectly here for us, but and then fumigation. Fumigation is something that's constantly needed, and we're looking at adding a permanent and fumigation facility to be able to handle the additional need. So looking at looking next, I mentioned some strategic initiatives, but really let's look at 2020 and 22 and beyond. And as I mentioned, we are in the middle of a land use study, and this land use study has a number of studies that are commingled with it. And it's not only looking at our land use study, it's looking at the transportation plan, it's looking at our utility infrastructure. And so it's combining a few plans together to really determine what's the highest and best use, combined with what does our region need, what are our importers and exporters wanting the Port of Oakland to use, as well as what's best for our region, including what adds the greatest value to to the city, to the communities, as far as jobs, reducing emissions, so it's a holistic approach of really looking at all of these combined studies of what's best and how we should move forward. Another project that is FITS, and this is the Freight Intelligence Transportation System. This has been underway for a couple of years, and this has a suite of 15 different projects that is really going to, we see it as, is really going to assist the truckers, really improve the flow in and out of the facility, in and out of the terminals. It's going to add an application so you can see anticipated turn times, you can see past turn times, you can reserve truck parking slots in our truck parking lots. There's going to be, weigh in motion scales. There's going to be, overhead signs so you can, have real-time communication for issues. And the next thing that we're going to add in and dovetail into this FITS, suite of projects is really another visibility tool. And this is what, the Port of LA has been successful and moved forward. A number of other ports are looking at it. The Port of Oakland is as well, looking at this, and we're talking to a couple of providers now, and really determining the best way to bring this information into a system of the Port of Oakland, and then really the best way to distribute and that's really dependent on what all the number of users would like and how they would see value in it. But we definitely need to create a more transparent system so that we can all see down the road that that we're going to have increased volume, or that there is increased dwell on the street, or that we are seeing an increased uptick in rail versus truck. It would be nice to have a simple dashboard so that we can all see that and make decisions for the future based upon real data. Another project that is going to take a number of years is the inner and outer harbor turning basins. As you can see in the lower right hand map, is there's an inner and an outer turning basin. Both of these turning basins now are designed to handle. They were really designed to handle 10,000 TEU vessels. They're handling up to 14,000 TEU vessels, and we're looking at expanding them to be able to handle the largest vessels on the water. So this is a long-term project. The Army Corps of Engineers is a great partner, and they're the lead agency working with us on that. But we're working with a number of other stakeholders, and including the pilots who are on the call today. So I thank them for all their involvement, because this is primarily a safety issue. The other another project is, as everyone is aware, we have additional container yard marine terminal capacity in the outer harbor. We would like to stand this up as either an expansion of an existing terminal, or as a new standalone terminal to be able to handle additional capacity through the port. We've had a number of interested parties asking and inquiring and and talking about using this for additional first port of call services. So this would be a longer term effort. It would need to be done in coordination with all of our supply chain partners, including the chassis providers and the trucking companies and customers, to ensure that there's not only a need for it, but the actual infrastructure and the assets in the area to make sure that it's not just adding congestion, but truly adding value. With all this comes other infrastructure. So as Danny mentioned, no other time that I've ever experienced has so many people outside of our industry had so much visibility on our industry. And a lot of people in the industry don't necessarily want that attention, but I think it's an absolute absolute opportunity that we should take advantage that, since we have this much attention externally from all the stakeholders and both at the state and federal level, that we definitely we truly need to take advantage of the opportunity for this infrastructure spending and improve not only the port, but all the support functions around the port, and really look at at improving the logistics in and out of Northern California. I mean, that's what the Port of Oakland is really serving, is Northern California, and so it should be all looked at one system, as moving cargo in and out of the Port of Oakland needs to be looked at not only just at the port, but through the cities adjacent, and and moving through the Northern California and points beyond. So this will this infrastructure spending will bring a lot of opportunities to the Port of Oakland, and I hope to all the customers and partners who are on this call today. So with that, I thank you for everyone's partnership. Happy holidays, and I'm available to answer any questions. I think Stas said no questions today, just do the
No, I didn't say that.
That's not what you said, Stas?
No. Nice try, Brandis. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, Bryan, thank you for a very comprehensive look at where we are. It's good to see that there is good news that we are getting capacity back, that we're getting sailings back. On a quick question, you mentioned the express services. How many express services do we have right now, Bryan?
We have, well, express, and this is just terminology, but express, how we were viewing it is an Oakland only port of call. So in and out of the port, we have 0, but we have 4 first port of calls with another one arriving this month with CU lines.
Okay, so we have 4 first port of calls and we're going to have a 5th one. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And it's Freight Intelligent Transportation System or Freight Intelligence?
Intelligence.
Thank you. Okay. In terms of questions, Mr. Randy Strait, I am advised by your good friend, Brandon McDonald, that you have a question that you wanted to ask. Are you available, Mr. Strait?
Sir. Thank you, Stas. So my question, I guess I more had some conversation to, and actually I reached out to Bryan a week or so ago. As Tyson Foods, we've been a partner through Oakland for the 30 years that I've been involved. And being a last port of call on an export basis, it's an ideal port for us for serving the Asian ports with our chilled beef, pork, and poultry products. And through this last year, we've been pretty well strongly supported on this chilled business up until the last couple of weeks. And as this business starts coming back to Oakland from LA, the port congestion has gotten so severe, chassis availability and pre-tripped reefer containers has been a real choke point for us. What do you think can be done in the very immediate future to help support this and get this business back? You had mentioned that the exports are down, but in some cases, we've been forced to go to other ports with the carriers and the vessel services as they leave Oakland. That's not certainly by choice. So what can the Port of Oakland do to help us get this infrastructure built back up, get the more reefer plugs in the port for exports, and build this business back to where it needs to be?
Yeah, thank you, Randy. And clearly familiar with your situation. And the short answer is that I'm working with the lines and the terminal operators to add additional reefer pre-tripping capacity. It's not as easy as just that. We're looking at providing them additional land, and then also providing them with additional a temporary power source to be able to pre-trip and provide space for either grounded reefers, due to the chassis shortage, and or coming up with other opportunity or other solution using terminal equipment, bomb carts or something to use to pre-trip the reefers. So it's I don't have the answer yet, but I'm working with both parties to try to come up with a solution because, as I said, we've been asking for the volume. We want to be able to to commit as the volume is increasing to providing the service.
I would sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, longer term, we're looking at opportunities to add in more reefer plugs. That would be traditional reefer plugs and or reefer racks to provide more space for the reefer equipment for both pre-tripping and storage.
Thank you, Bryan. It's just a reminder that our export business continues to grow, but in the month of January and February, as we negotiate new contracts with our Asian customers, they're getting very, very concerned about our reliability, and we stand a very good chance of losing some of this market simply because of logistics. All the product that we produce and sell overseas can be sourced from another country. And, we saw this when BSE hit, back in 2003. It took us over 10 years to recover the Japanese and the Chinese markets. We stand on the brink of that today, and it's all because of logistics and being an unreliable source for them. So it's critical that we act swiftly. They've been patient and tolerant as long as they can, but they will not be much longer. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that the time is of the essence. We have to get a more reliable service to these customers to avoid losing this market.
Randy, just
Yes.
a quick question for me. Is the source of the problem the fact that we've lost the vessel sailings? I mean, is that the prime reason?
Well, I mean, you name it. We've lost vessel sailings. If you try and depart from LA Long Beach, you can wait weeks to get on a vessel. If you depart from Oakland, the most recent problems have been either lack of vessels because services have been withdrawn. As Bryan had said, they get tired of waiting in LA, so they drop the Oakland port call and sail direct. But most recently, it's been the lack of reefer containers, the lack of pre-tripped containers, and even the lack of chassis. Prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, we had 30 trucks at least on hold, drivers sitting under them for over a week waiting to unload because there were no containers available, either because they weren't pre-tripped or not enough chassis to move them from the port to the cross dock facility, et cetera. So it's been a real battle. So as a consequence to that, we've lost reefer carriers at a time when drivers are invaluable. We've lost carriers that simply will not take these loads anymore because they won't risk tying their trucks up for that long. So it's a real crisis.
Okay, thank you for that. Bryan, any last response on that? Okay. Scott Taylor, I see you right in the middle of my screen there. And I thought this might be an opportune time to welcome you as you came in a little late, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, I hope. But you are on the front line of this trucking issue. Can you give us some advice here, or at least give us some overview of what we're looking at?
Thanks a lot, Stas, for putting me on the spot.
Anytime, Scott.
I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, but it's been such a positive presentation from Danny and Bryan to this point. But I do want to say I had a very disturbing conversation with a major BCO last week who questioned why the commissioners were supporting a ballpark. And they wanted to know what the outcome was going to be. And I told them, we don't know, but it's the 600-pound gorilla that's sitting in the corner of the room every time we have a conversation. And like I said, I don't want to bring up anything negative, but it's the one subject that I constantly have to fight with our customers. And I told them, I guess we'll know in a few months what's going to happen. But they're questioning whether they should really be expanding their presence in Oakland if there's a ballpark that's put in the middle of the park. So, I mean, you asked me, Stas, you gave me this avenue, this forum, and I'm telling you what I'm hearing, and it's disturbing, and I really have to question whether it's wise for GSC Logistics to expand our presence in the port if there's a ballpark built, because we are talking to real estate people now about, we know that there's more business that's potentially coming to this port, but where should we be looking? Should we be looking out in the valley? Should we be looking at another port somewhere else in the country? Because our customers are concerned. And so you asked me, and I'm telling you.
And I did, and I appreciate your candor. And thank you very much for that. And it is an issue, and it is something that we are concerned on. I see Danny's come back up. Danny, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, you want to say something?
Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, no, I was just to say, Scott, understood. Clearly hear your comments, and as the project is still has a number of approvals that need to take place. As I've said multiple times, I see, my role, the port's role, Danny's, role is to really ensure that, if this project goes through, that the Seaport stakeholder, measures that we've discussed, talked about, really, limit the impact and, of this project going through. So there's, definitely more to come, but you clearly hear you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Danny, do you want to say anything?
But to the extent that anybody wants to have more, any of your customers have concerns about that, we'll be happy to answer any questions. As Brian stated, the ballpark will not impact maritime operations, whether it happens or not. And in fact, what's happening is that the ballpark conversation has stimulated a lot of conversation about whether the Port of Oakland should get more investment into our infrastructure to really resolve a lot of transportation issues that already exists, whether the ballpark comes or not. And in fact, we have currently secured $280 million of state funding that will not, among other things, invest into a 7th Street upgrade with UP's easement. So those are the kind of things that we are going to be focused on, is bring investments into the port to make sure that the Port of Oakland, that Seaport grows, and that the 50 acres at the corner beside Schnitzer Steel, that's our terminal, that's closest to the Jacqueline Square, is certainly not going to impact the operation of the Seaport.
Very good. Danny, thank you very much. Other questions? We are getting close to our time, and we have room for another couple of questions if anybody has one. Gabriella. Yes, Gabriella Jimenez, go ahead.
Thank you. Brian, in your presentation, you mentioned additional container capacity, looking to expand an existing terminal. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so in the outer harbor where Ports of America used to be a number of years ago, when they pulled out of the market, most of that land, some of that land went into TRAPAC. Most of that land has been utilized over the last few years for container parking. It's about 120 acres, and that facility is designed to be a container terminal, and we are looking at revitalizing that, and
Brian, might it be helpful to bring that map up again?
Yep.
Just so that we get some locational indication.
Yep. So can you all see the screen?
We can.
Okay, so it's Ports of America had this facility here. TRAPAC has taken on a number of acres here, but there's still this facility right here that is about 120 acres. That could be another facility to add in capacity to the port. I mentioned earlier that we are recommending and moving to the board a bulk aggregates facility that would take up this triangle over here. So it would not really impact any further expansion of a container terminal.
Brian, just so I understand, we have 120 acres for a container terminal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm sorry, Danny, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. In our conversation with state and federal officials, we are emphasizing to them that this terminal, which is already dredged to 50 feet, is additional capacity the port has in terms of terminal operations. That there's really no reason why this terminal cannot be activated to relieve the congestion and add additional capacity to service at Oakland. We just need a few $1 million to activate this terminal in terms of upgrades and the cranes and the berths, And then in the future, we need additional infrastructure dollars to really make this fully functional terminal if the capacity demands, if the demand is there for it. So certainly the infrastructure dollars we're talking about is exciting that this is a possibility, because we were always looking at a private investment model where the private terminal operators come in and do this. But certainly if there's public investment, we can stimulate that activation of this terminal right here. And also, Brian, just because we had a map up, you might want to point out the turning basin down here that we're down. Turning basin.
So this is the inner turning basin, and this is the outer turning basin.
Right, and then you see Howard Terminal is on the corner over there. Besides, there's a steel, which is big corner of that Howard Terminal is reserved for the expansion of the turning basin itself. So the Tower Terminal, in fact, will be 10 acres of that will be dedicated to the turning basin expansion. So that will further diminish our terminal's use as any kind of useful maritime use after we cut out that corner for the turning basin next to steel. So that is certainly all the expansion that very exciting infrastructure planning. Along with the public investment that's already been dedicated to the port and further to come, I think the port is going to be in for great growth in terms of our business, as long as we can work out the logistical kind of congestion you're seeing today. And I think the problem today really for the Port of Oakland and other ports is not so much land availability, but more the logistical system that needs to be worked out for the port to grow.
So on the question of the cranes out there, those cranes haven't been used in a few years. So what do you estimate is going to be the cost of refurbishing them, and how long will that take?
Yeah, to refurbish the 4 cranes out there, it's about $1 million each and take about 6 months. But they do have limitations. Those cranes can only handle about 5,000 to 8,000 TEU vessel, really depending on how fully laden it comes in. If it comes in fully laden and it's down into the water, it can handle a larger vessel. But if it's coming up from LA Long Beach, then it's got to be a smaller vessel.
Okay, so you said about 6 months and about $1 million.
Correct.
Okay.
Each.
Yep. Each. And how many cranes are there?
4.
Got it. Okay. I have Susan Ransom. Are you still there?
I am.
Okay. Your chassis situation out at OICT, is that getting better, or what's the status with that?
Well, as of this morning, we had literally 35 trucks sitting in our chassis pit waiting for chassis. We have not been able to secure additional chassis. Like Brian said, it's a matter of extended dwell times on the street. Truckers are not as likely to drop because they want to reuse the chassis and keep them. And the import dwells are building up at the terminal because there's no wheels to move them on. So having said that, as far as SSA is concerned, we have last week, we closed one of our chassis pits to solely focus on fixing and repairing any bad orders that are in the pit to make as many chassis as possible available. We've also swept the yard for containers that may be sitting on chassis to make them available. So we are doing our part on trying to get chassis, but to answer your questions, unfortunately, the chassis situation is pretty dire.
Okay. So Brian, I want to go back to right at the beginning. We talked about what the ask might be to Mr. Porcari in the event that we have a congestion situation. And you and I talked before we came on about the fact that maybe we need to start getting the feds to go work with the chassis manufacturers in the United States to provide some sort of accelerated production, because I understand new orders are 6 months before you can get something.
Yeah, correct. No, it's I am in communication with the chassis providers to try to bring more chassis, up here. There's been a lot of talk that, there's been a lot of migration down south due to the volume. Flexi, who provides most of the chassis up here, stated that the migration to LA Long Beach has been minimal. And in fact, with them adding more chassis to both LA Long Beach and Oakland, that there's more chassis in the region now than there was at the beginning of the year. But your point about asking, as including in one of the asks, which we do have a number of asks to the feds through PCARI, is working with the chassis providers is a good one to expand. I mentioned before the call that it was announced that one of the chassis companies purchased a chassis provider or builder, Pratt, Knackback produced or purchased Pratt, which is an interesting move. They produce domestic trailers and chassis, so that they're definitely looking out and taking care of their future, which is something that we do need to work with our chassis providers to help us. But it's a good point, Sass.
Okay, thank you very much. Guys, we're at 6 minutes past the hour, and I think that this is a time for us to conclude. We have a Propeller Club board meeting afterwards, so those of you who are on the board, including Jeremy and Captain Taylor and Andrew Wong, would you please stay on? We will, if anybody has any questions and they would like them addressed to Bryan or to Danny, please send them to me and I will forward them. This is the last Propeller Club meeting of 2021. It has been an eventful year. 2022 is contract year. So there's much more fun and games to be had very, very soon. I want to extend my good wishes to all of you for all of the work that many of you have done to try and keep this port and make this port operational and keep it operational. I know that we haven't talked about the bar pilots, but they are having some challenges, and we definitely want to support their good efforts. Customs brokers and freight forwarders, Evie has been a real help to us in keeping us abreast. Obvious challenges there. You've heard from Susan about the chassis situation, Scott about his concerns about the ballpark, Randy Strait about getting the reefer situation improved upon, and Danny and Bryan and Ron Brown and Andrew Wong and Mike have all been working hard on our behalf. It's one of the situations that we're facing, it is unprecedented. I may give you a little bit of insight. The AgTC had a briefing with the Department of Agriculture a couple of weeks ago, and a gentleman from Drury said that he does not expect the current situation to improve until December of 2023. And he said at that time there will be more container ships on order, and they will begin to diminish some of the disequilibriums, as they call it in the business, that are bedeviling us. So we may not be out of the woods for a while, but hopefully things will slow down in January and February, and we'll be able to catch up. Hopefully the good efforts of the PMA and the ILWU to keep us operating will bear fruit. We owe a special expression of gratitude to the ILWU for staying on the job through all of this, and the stevedores for all of their good work. Our tugboat operators, our freight forwarders, all of you, thank you very, very much. Have a good and safe holiday. We look forward to seeing you back in 2022. Danny and Bryan, thank you very, very much.